I'm also requesting our Joint Secretary, sir, to please come on the dais.
Respected Joint Secretary, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, distinguished dignitaries from the maritime industry, esteemed panelists, members from media, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to all of you. It is indeed an honor and privilege for me to extend a warm welcome to this distinguished gathering as part of India Maritime Week 2025 here at Jawaharlal Nehru Port Authority. Today's program, themed Green and Digital Maritime Corridors, bring together policymakers, industry leaders and experts to deliberate on the future of our maritime ecosystem. Before we proceed, may I request Mr. Suraj Babu, Chief General Manager M&E, to kindly present a floral bouquet to our Joint Secretary, Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways. Thank you, sir. As we gather here, we are reminded of the pivotal role maritime corridors play in facilitating global trade and economic growth. These corridors are the lifelines of international commerce, enabling the smooth movement of goods and services across borders, fueling businesses and connecting nations. However, we also face evolving challenges from geopolitical events such as Red Sea crisis and ongoing conflicts to the urgent need of greener, more sustainable supply chains. These realities underscore the importance of today's discussions on digitization, sustainability, and infrastructure development to build maritime corridors that are efficient, resilient, and environmentally responsible. This opening session sets the stage for insightful deliberations on strengthening international cooperation and unlocking the potential of maritime economic corridors from ports to prosperity. We are privileged to have with us some of the most respected voices in the maritime domain, whose expertise and perspective will help shape the future of global shipping and trade. On behalf of Jawaharlal Nehru Port Authority, I once again extend my heartfelt welcome to all of you. I am confident that today's sessions will serve as valuable platform for sharing knowledge, forging partnership, and identifying actionable strategies to advance our maritime vision. Thank you, and I wish the program great success. May I now request the Joint Secretary, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways for his opening address. Thank you, sir.
Namaskar. Morning to everyone. Respected Director General Shipping, CMD SCI, MD IPRCL, and senior representatives from the industry, ASSOCHAM, the industry partner for this event, and all the colleagues from JNPA. So it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. And today, we are discussing an important topic, which is about the maritime corridors evolving around green and digital corridors. So maybe like first, we have a short presentation also before we get into that. So recently, like as a country, like we have been laying a lot of emphasis on the development of the maritime sector in the country. Government has focused its efforts, initiatives in strengthening the overall maritime ecosystem in the country. Especially like the union budget this year had a series of measures to support shipping and shipbuilding and promoting that in the country. And similarly, on the port side, there have been a significant set of initiatives to strengthen the overall port ecosystem. To mention recently, I think in the current parliament session, this probably would be one of the landmark or milestone in the history of maritime in the country. We had 5 bills in the parliament, out of which 4 have been passed by both the houses of the parliament. One is on merchant shipping, which replaces the old act, which brings the merchant shipping related administration and the overall legal framework up to date and in tune with the international conventions. Similarly, like the bill on coastal shipping, which has been passed, will strengthen the overall coastal shipping ecosystem in the country and will also integrate it with the inland water ecosystem seamlessly. And also the COXA, the Carriage of Goods by Sea Act, so which will become an act soon once it's notified. Now it's cleared by both the houses. That is aligned with the international convention on this subject, which will make it friendly for the business and will bring in clarity and align it with the international practices. And one more bill, which is in the Lok Sabha, which is likely to be taken up today, is the Indian Ports Bill. This again would be a significant milestone in terms of bringing the port legal framework up to date. This would be replacing the 1908 Act. So, more than 120 years old act that's getting replaced now. This act again talks about integrated port development in the country. Since port is a concurrent subject, like it's important that both the central and the state governments work together and conceive a integrated long-term development of the port sector, which is viable and which is attractive for private sector investment. So this bill brings in that framework. So be it the policy or the new projects that are coming up, like the Vadhavan port, which is progressing well in terms of the activities that are to be undertaken. Very soon, I think the reclamation and dredging project should be out in the market. And the Galatia Bay project, that transshipment port that is being conceived, that's also like in advanced stages of approval within the government. So we have been taking up a series of individual projects which are critical to the country, be it the policy framework or the legal framework. Government is working on all these aspects, not only on ports. Now the focus is also shifting towards shipping, shipbuilding, where again the shipbuilding financial assistance policy that is being extended for the next 10 years, which is also in the final shape and for the consideration of the government. The Maritime Development Fund, which will support the financing needs of the entire industry, the entire maritime industry, not only shipping, shipbuilding, but the entire maritime industry, including ports, inland waterways. And apart from that, we are also coming up with a scheme for supporting the development of new shipbuilding clusters and also supporting the existing shipbuilding industry in terms of providing them support for their expansion. And ships are being considered for being given an infrastructure status, which will make the long-term financing for shipping attractive and cheap and possible. And ministry has also come up with its own new MBFC, Sagarmala Finance Corporation, which has received the registration from RBI. So maybe in 6 months' time, they should actually be able to start lending for the maritime companies and ventures. So we are looking at a comprehensive approach to the entire promotion and development of the maritime ecosystem. So I would not take further time. I think there are further presentations and speakers. So after this, I think we would quickly go through the India Maritime Week, so which is coming up in Mumbai in the last week of October. So I think since all the senior leaders from the industry are here, it would be appropriate to, briefly take you through the landscape of that, and also, elicit the participation of all of you in that. So can we have the presentation on India Maritime Week? And today again is a momentous day for, I think, JNPA. The Honorable Deputy PM of Singapore is with us very shortly, and Honorable CM is also here. And Honorable Minister was supposed to join today, but because of the parliamentary business, the Indian Ports Bill is slated for today, so he had to stay back to attend that in the Parliament. Respected Secretary is also with us. I think they are all part of the terminal visit initially. And subsequent part of this event, I think all of them will join us post-lunch. So we will quickly, maybe like take 7-8 minutes, just go through this presentation and then carry on with the agenda. So this, I think all of you are familiar. You are all from the industry, so no need to stress upon this. This just gives a glimpse of the overall maritime ecosystem in the country: ports, shipbuilding, shipping, the seafarers. This again is growing very healthy, like it's almost like grown 120% in the last 10 years or so. And ship recycling, the Hong Kong Convention has come into play, and all our yards are, almost 100% of the yards are compliant with the Hong Kong Convention, which is talking about environment-friendly recycling and labor-friendly recycling. So this will also like enhance the opportunity for ship recycling in the country. Waterways has been one of the fastest growing segments within the country, and coastal shipping as well. So this again, kind of summarizes where India stands vis-a-vis, different countries in the world, just to give a sense. In the top 100 ports, I think we have, in the last ranking, we have 10 ports out of the 100 and 2 in the top 30. Be it the turnaround time or the number of seafarers, we rank third. And in terms of the overall port capacity, I think India stands second in the world, next to China, so in terms of the largest port capacity. And in terms of seaborne trade, we are the 4th largest in the world. So we are pretty sizable in terms of be it the port infrastructure or the total seaborne trade that happens in the world. And these are some statistics just to re-emphasize that, things, the perspective of where we are and how things have moved in the last decade or so. So this is kind of the progress that the industry and the maritime sector has achieved in the last decade. So I would not get into each of these figures, and most of you are familiar with these. So these are some of the initiatives which led to that transformation in the last 10 years, be it the new model concession agreement, which brings in the necessary ecosystem for public-private partnership in the port ecosystem, or the new bills that I talked about, which are in the parliament, out of which all of these have been passed except the Indian Ports Bill. And similarly, the aids to navigation, the major port authorities, or the Inland Vessels Act, all of them have already been updated in the last 3 or 4 years. So this ensures that there is a legal certainty and then policy certainty, and there is a consistency over the years. So if you look at the next decade, these are the opportunities that the maritime sector is throwing up. If you look at the next 20 years, India as a country, like if you have to support the expected size of the Indian economy, today, like, we have a EXIM trade of around 1.1, 1.2 trillion dollars. So if you look at 2047, the projected figures are like, something in the order of around $10 trillion of EXIM trade. So that would mean that the port capacity has to expand 4x. So this actually, like, brings in a lot of investment opportunities for the industry to participate. Similarly, the energy transition, that is bringing with it a set of opportunities around the clean energy fuels, hydrogen, alternate fuels. Cruise segment is growing. Similarly, shipping and shipbuilding that we talked about. And also the coastal shipping and inland waterways. We are currently at 6% modal share, and we target to become 12%. So that again brings with it a huge opportunity for all of us to work together. So coming to India Maritime Week. So this is the 4th edition. Over the years, the shape and form of this event has been evolving. We started as Maritime India Summit, and then during COVID, it was a virtual summit. Then subsequently, like last year again, 2023, it was in Mumbai as Global Maritime India Summit. And now we have transformed or conceived it as India Maritime Week, which will be a week-long event, where there will be multiple co-located events which we will go through as we progress. And in all of these events, progressively, like the depth and width of participation, be it the international participation or be it the industry participation, or the kind of business opportunities or investment MOUs that were concluded, it has been growing in its size and stature. So this is again a set of data and statistics about the previous editions, which again re-emphasizes the progressive strength that this platform is attaining globally. So this is the proposed event for this year, where we are targeting close to 100 countries and more than 10 concurrent events located in one venue. This will be happening in NESCO in Mumbai from 27th to 31st of October. So here the vision for this year's edition is Uniting Oceans, One Maritime Vision. This again is very, very relevant in the current times, the way the global geopolitics is. It's important for us to focus on this aspect where there is a need for all of us to work together. So this is just a glimpse of the venue. So we are looking at these 7 countries as potential partner countries in this event. I think Netherlands, Norway and Denmark have already confirmed that they would like to join as partner countries for this event. And Singapore is likely to join, and we are also reaching out to the other countries. So these are other institutional partners in different segments, be it the industry partners or the institutional partners for different events, media, and then knowledge. So this kind of gives you an overview of the different themes that will be, or different concurrent events that will be happening during the week. The flagship event is the Global Maritime India Summit, which focuses on industry and investments. And then the Sagar Manthan, the Great Oceans Dialogue. This is an event that focuses on policy, strategy. And then we have the Global CEO Forum, where Honorable PM will interact with the leading global maritime CEOs. And there is also a Maritime Leaders Conclave around this, where Honorable PM will address the gathering. And then we have Green Maritime Day, which talks about the transition that's happening in the maritime space. Then we have Ports of the Future, which is being anchored by the Quad partnership amongst India, US, Australia, and Japan. And Women in Maritime, that's a separate theme that we are focusing on, where there's a lot of things that are happening, so that will be discussed around that. And then we have Sagar Ratna. It's a recognition of the maritime achievers in this field. Then UN SCAP is also organizing a regional sustainability and connectivity conference around the same time in the venue. Then we have a theme on financing and tech and digitalization. So these are the aspects that would be covered as different events within the same week. So this gives the industry an opportunity to participate in all of these events as appropriate to you. So this presents an opportunity for networking and creating business opportunities, concluding business deals in terms of international collaboration and investment opportunities, or be it innovation and technology showcase. So, and we also have an exhibition which will be spread across a very large area, thematically designed, industry segment wise. So that again would be an important platform where you could showcase your company, your solutions, your products, and be able to connect with appropriate people coming from across the globe. So that is just a short introduction to the India Maritime Week, and we hope to individually interact with each one of you and ensure that all of you like appropriately participate and benefit out of this event. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir, for that briefing on India Maritime Week 2025. And now I request my colleague, Mr. Girish Thomas, to give a presentation on achievements, reforms, and initiatives in maritime corridors. Thank you.
Respected Lakshman sir, dignitaries of the dais, my friends and colleagues. I'm just taking quickly through some of the initiatives which Navixel 25 has been doing. All of you may be aware that Ministry has got several Navixels which are deep diving into various issues which is related to maritime industry, and we are doing a lot of initiatives. This particular Navixel is actually looking into the aspects of possible maritime corridors which will enhance our maritime industry. So it starts with all of you are aware that almost 30% of the container was being transited through the Red Sea, and in 2023, late 2023, all of you know that Red Sea crisis started. So even before that, we were all thinking about what could be the alternate route. But after this Red Sea crisis, we are now 100% thinking, or rather almost all of us are now thinking of what could be the alternate route for industry between Mediterranean, US, as well as Far East and Indian Ocean. So this has necessitated, because of reasons like increase in the transit time, increase in the cost, increase in the emission, because vessels have to go around the Cape of Good Hope. In fact, it is increasing almost 53% of the distance. So therefore, it has become very, very important that we find some alternate. So in that aspect, currently India has involved in 3 maritime corridors, which we are very actively involved and doing. First one is IMEC. IMEC is the India, Middle East, Europe corridor. Many of you may be aware of it, but we have progressed a lot in that. In fact, recently we have done one important initiative with respect to IMEC. It's a platform of, I will come up to it in next slide. Then the second corridor which has already been taken up and which is being used in the recent time is the Eastern Maritime Corridor. It is originally known as Chennai-Vladivostok Corridor, which is connecting, I will talk about it a little later. Then the third one is INSTEC, International North-South Transport Corridor. We will talk about. In fact, the other two things, BRI, it is actually a Chinese initiative, and then the last one is the US initiative, which has also parallel to these type of maritime corridors. So if I talk about International North-South Transport Corridor, which is actually having a 2 legs. You can see from the diagram, I think it's visible from the diagram. So it's connecting Mumbai to Iran, and from Iran it goes to one to Russia, and another one is to CIS countries. So here also a lot of initiative has happened. You can see that it's one of the very primary important aspect as far as Government of India is concerned, and we are pushing this in a big way. Our port at Iran, Chabahar, is one key factor for this thing. You can see that Government of India is focusing a lot in the Chabahar. Our sir is here, Sunil sir is here, he is driving it. In fact, JNP is also part of it, so that is one. Of course, there are certain issues which we need to tackle. That is what, there is tariff issues, customs issues are there, which are being addressed now. Similarly, there are problems, or rather difficulty as far as funding is concerned. And naturally, these geopolitical issues, which you are all aware in the Middle East and in the Iran-Israel war, etc., is producing. So IMEC is second thing which I was just talking to, so IMEC is actually driven mostly for connecting through UAE, and UAE is our main partner. UAE has already signed MOU with us, and we have already started a platform called Maitri, which I'll talk about it, which is one of the initiatives that was decided in the previous meeting of the IMEC. And very recently, in the August, I think first week of August, there has been a meeting on IMEC, which India has hosted, and all these IMEC countries have participated in. So these are some of the advantages as well as some of the disadvantages which currently we are facing. But of course, these are all being addressed, and there are dedicated team. In fact, JS sir is a main pillar in this particular thing. He has been taking initiative for this thing. So JS sir will know about this thing. And even Maitri is also his brainchild. He has already taken initiative for Maitri. Maitri is a platform which is used to link between the existing system in India and the systems which is there in the other partner countries. So this will be a interface so that all the documentation as well as the transaction can be digitally transferred. So it will improve not only the efficiency, but so many other aspects like transparency, elimination of redundancy, removal of etc. Everything is being taken care with the Maitri, and Maitri has been just recently launched. I hope many of you might have already seen, aware of this Maitri thing. So these are the various features of Maitri. It is actually a virtual trade corridor. Almost all transaction will be across the Maitri as far as IMEC is concerned, and it is also reducing the logistic cost, and it's providing a great ease of doing business with respect to the trade that is going to happen through this corridor. RIGHTS, of course, is the agency which is developing it, and all the major ports, in fact, JNPA, DPA are the main ports which are currently being associated, but all the ports will be eventually part of this thing. This is that Eastern Maritime Corridor. You can see that earlier it was coming from North Europe, North Russia, through the Mediterranean, through the Suez to west coast of India. Now this new route, which is connecting to Chennai to Vladivostok, which goes through the China Sea, Eastern and South China Sea, it is almost almost 3,000 nautical miles there is a reduction once you use this route, and up to 24 days we will be saving. Even though that east portion of the Russia does not have that much of cargo, but now Russia is planning, because Russia, due to the political issues of Ukraine and other things, they are also shifting their trade towards the east of Russia, and we have now started getting even containers from Vladivostok to Chennai side, and currently there is a lot of potential for coal and oil and other bulk cargo to move through that. So this is another corridor which is being very extensively used nowadays. It's again features of the Eastern Maritime Corridor. And these are the few other corridors which are being explored by us. Today we are having a meeting in the afternoon with respect to the digital corridor of with Singapore. That's a green and digital. We will have a discussion on this thing in the afternoon. Similarly, we also have green shipping corridors. That is basically with respect to the coastal movement. We have movements from Kandla to Tuticorin, east to west connection through sea. That's something which we are pushing hard, which will benefit a lot. And then new routes towards the Far East as well as to Africa. These are also the corridors which we are now exploring. So in the nutshell, there are three issues which we need to address. We are on the job of finding solutions to this thing. It's funding, then of course so good governance, and third of course is the infrastructure requirement at both the ends, at all the things. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas, for the insight. And now, without wasting much of a time, I would like to invite the eminent panelists on the dais, starting with Mr. Shailesh Bhatia, CEO Bhatia Shipping. A big round of applause for Mr. Bhatia. Mr. Amlan Bora, Chief Representative, Port of Rotterdam. Mr. Atit Mahajan, Managing Director, CMA CGM. Mr. Ashish Goyal, Managing Director, BLR Logistics. Please have a seat, sir. We need more chairs. Chairs, kara do kita fatafat. Mr. Makarand Pradhan, Managing Director, and Mr. Zibo Itti, CEO, DP World. A big round of applause to all the panelists. And few moments, I think they are. Thank you so much, all the panelists on the dais. A big round of applause to all the panelists over here. And now I request Ms. Rajshri Dapke to felicitate the dignitaries on the dais, Mr. Rajshri Dapke and Captain Pawar, Balasaheb Pawar. I request both my HODs to felicitate the panelists on the dais. Ms. Rajeshri will felicitate Mr. Shailesh Bhatia, CEO, Bhatia Shipping. Captain Pawar will felicitate Amran Bora, Chief Representative of Port of Rotterdam. Amlan Bora. Captain Balasaheb. A big round of applause. Thank you, Captain. I will request Rajshri to felicitate Mr. Atit Mahajan, Managing Director, CMA CGM. I will request Captain Pawar to felicitate Ashok Goyal, Managing Director, BLR Logistics. I again request Rajshri to felicitate Mr. Makarand Pradhan, Managing Director. And now I request Captain Pawar to felicitate Zibo Itti, the CEO, DP World. Thank you so much. And a quick photograph with all the panelists. So I request, please. Thank you. Before wasting much of a time, I request Sunita to take over from SOHM to take over the panel discussion further. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would now request Salish sir to take over.
Good morning, everybody. The topic today, am I audible or should I be louder? Okay. The topic today is strengthening international cooperation, building resilient and sustainable maritime economic corridors. So just to get everybody on the same page, I'll just read out 2-3 important elements what makes a sustainable and a resilient corridor. One is, the 3 elements are economic growth, obviously, for both the trading partners who will be getting into the economic corridor. Environmental sustainability, that is minimal environmental impact of maritime activities such as pollution, habitat destruction, and climate change. And social responsibility to ensure that the benefits of the economic corridor are equitable to all trading partners. So as we've seen that till now, whichever economic corridors which have been built, like the One Road initiative of China, BRI, and also our international North-South corridor, unfortunately has not really picked up and delivered the goals, though they have been alternate mechanism for the trade routes. So I think this is a very challenging subject, and a lot of thoughts would have gone in globally with all participating countries who have developed these corridors in the past. The new one to be developed is the India-Middle East corridor, which should become a substitute alternate route in case of any problems in the Suez route. So on the panel today, we have with us the leading shipping line of India, CMA, Mr. Atit Mahajan. We have Mr. Amlan Bora from Port of Rotterdam, Mr. Jibu from DP World, Mr. Makrand Pradhan as a LCL consolidator, and we have Mr. Ashok Goel, who has had held many hats, including as the president of BGTA and All India Transport Association, as well as currently he is in ITWA. So I will start this with the shipping lines, because for development of the corridor, one of the first players which comes in is a shipping line. And I would like, Atit, you to give us your views that how do you make a sustainable economic corridor as an alternate route to the Suez Canal? So your views on it.
Yeah. So, good morning, everybody. First, my good morning to all the dignitaries who are there here, and all my fellow panelists. This topic, as you said, shipping line. Now, one of the corridors which has been a bit successful than many which you kind of listed is the China to Europe rail corridor. Okay, so it's not always that the shipping line has to get involved. It's any mode which can create a corridor. But definitely for global trade, shipping lines are an important part. Now, what is more important? You listed down the various aspects of sustainability, but one of the most important thing for it to be sustainable is the geopolitical aspect of it. Because if there is a geopolitical issue, like what we have in today's IMEC corridor, where the IMEC goes through Israel, and you today know that the current geopolitical situation doesn't allow us to go beyond Saudi Arabia and through Israel to Europe. So that connectivity will take its own time. But keeping aside the geopolitical aspect, the first thing is the way we look at it is, we should look at these corridors as highways, okay? And on a highway, the least amount of disruptions is something which is the most important thing for bringing efficiency. So let us take an example of our home example, whereby doing the GST regulation, taking care of the GST regulation, we have now our cross-border transportation is quite seamless. Okay, when you're going from one state to another state, it's seamless. So when we are looking at corridors, the most important thing is the infrastructure is there. Without the infrastructure, it doesn't happen. But the most important thing is any regulatory, whether it is customs, whether it is any other aspects, all the regulatory aspects should be digital. And the flow of the cargo from one place to the another place has to be as seamless as if it is going through a single country. Okay, so that is the aim which we need to keep. Now, other than these, you have issues like geopolitics, which will be taken care by itself. But what I'm trying to say is, it's the most important thing which we have to keep in mind, that it's not that any corridor has not worked. There is the China to Europe corridor, which has worked successfully. And again, just to put a perspective, that any corridor which we create is not going to be an alternative for other corridors. So like IMEC is not going to be an alternative to a Suez corridor. It will be complementary to Suez corridor. The same way as just because you have started a China to Europe rail, it's not that the shipping lines are not plying between China to North Europe. So so it's always going to be complementary. But it definitely gives you an insurance against any issues like what we recently faced in Suez. Such kind of corridors like IMEC corridor will give us an insurance that at least some part of the cargo will be able to move seamlessly, and not everything has to be routed out of this. So that is the necessity which thanks.
Thank you, Adit. We'll move on to Jibu with DP World perspective, because DP World has done a lot of work in CIS countries, where they have done a lot of cross-border trades and developed certain routes. Plus, they are into terminals, into shipping also in India right now. So, Jibu, what would be your perspective? How do you make a corridor robust, and how do you make it successful?
Good morning. Good morning. See, this trade corridors, if you say that traditionally has been engine for economic growth, as well as for many of the activities. When you see that you had Suez Canal, Malacca Strait, or otherwise Panama, these all have facilitated all the countries in the corridor, wherever they connect, to actually prosper over many years. But over the period, what happened, we have seen it also, over-relying on this corridor also has its own risk. For example, we have seen that recently with the Ever Given episode in Suez, where that particular, to recover from that issue, it took almost many months. And if you see that even the disruption which it has caused to container availability, or otherwise if you see the disruption which it has caused to vessel routines, has costed something about 40% on the container prices. The freights have gone through the roof, and it has gone maybe 5-6 times higher compared to the pre-pandemic levels, and many commodity movements were disrupted. So it is necessary that to avoid this, to de-risk this, we need to have alternate corridors for sure. So these corridors, for example, that we do have IMEC, as it was discussed, like India, Middle East, Europe corridor, or otherwise international north-south trade corridor. These all have very high potential to actually give a boost to the trade, and also to de-risk the existing corridors issues in case of disruptions. But here there are certain things which needs to be seen, is like you will be crossing borders. You will have multi-currency issues, like you may have payment terms issues. So I think these are the challenges which probably will come across, for which the governments of each of these countries will have to collaborate more closely to see that you have a seamless movement of trade, so that ultimately this is robust as well as sustainable. So for which you need to have this alignment, especially with respect to border crossing protocols, or let us say currency, and also the payment terms and related aspects. The most important, there are many procedural things also are to be taken into account. You know, like the procedural, if you clear those procedural issues between the border countries, which can also facilitate investment and bring in this thing. For example, IMEC or what is the International North-South Trade Corridor, for that to actually be fruitful, you need to have many countries coming in aligned to see that the movements are, let us say, multi-country, single window systems, or you can take the aspects of technology, for example, you can take single window system for all these countries to address, or maybe that you can have digital platforms to bring in all the stakeholders, let it be the shipping lines, the terminals, the various customs of formations in different countries. So they all will have to start speaking on a single language. So getting it around, I would say, is the most important. As regard to the infrastructure, as per the World Bank, I think like $1 spent in transportation infrastructure will bring in $4 in economic growth. So there is quite a lot of infrastructural, this thing needs to be done, but there is quite a lot of soft issues to be also addressed to ensure that it is seamless and it actually pick up traction and attract the actual consumers and exporters to the platform. That confidence building is also important, for which quite a lot of this alignment is also required for these corridors to be effective. But this is the way, because you need to have these alternate corridors, otherwise you will have these similar disruptions affecting you in time to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Jipu. We'll move on to Mr. Bora because he's representing Port of Rotterdam. And as we all know, Europe is very successful in cross-border transportation and combining shipping and transportation together. So your views, what would make a corridor sustainable? And I would also like your views on the green part, because that's something which we've missed out speaking. So the green part, as well as how do you have a resilient corridor? What are your views on it?
Thank you very much, and good morning to all of you. Thanks for having me here. First of all, the moment we talk about corridors, we are talking about a partnership, and we're talking about a business partnership. So before we talk about anything else or anything further, the very discussion on corridors or partnership, we should start with if there's a business logic in having a corridor. And from the Port of Rotterdam authorities' perspective, I would summarize the sense of looking at partnership from 3 A's. The first A is available, the second A is affordable, and the third A is allowed. These are my 3 definitions, not Port of Rotterdam standard. And this kind of matches with what these 2 gentlemen before me has also said, right? First of all, for a corridor to function, everybody in the corridor should feel equal and equally benefited from the corridor. So there has to be a play of equals, that's first, which is required. And then, of course, for those equals, there has to be available infrastructure, available trust. A lot of other factors comes into play. And when you talk about affordability, that's very simple. It's price. It has to be affordable. And allowed. Allowed can be looked at from the perspective of regulations, geopolitics, multiple things come into play. Now, from the perspective of Port of Rotterdam, if we overlay these 3 things into corridors, I will segment the whole discussion into 3 parts. The first is container. Now, as a port authority, we do not move cargo. The shipping lines and the shippers, the beneficial cargo owners, are the ones who move cargo. So to talk about building a corridor for the container business is on one side quite risky and limiting, but also on the other side is quite difficult, honestly. So whereas, as Port of Rotterdam, we talk about corridors, but we do not constrain ourselves to talk about corridors when it comes to the container business. We rather focus on creating the right parameters on the port and beyond. And the beyond part is very important, because we just cannot look at logistics or supply chain from the port from the point of picking something up and getting into the port. Something has to be delivered as well, the last mile. So we focus a lot on that. And then we do the right things, we try to do the right things to make ourselves competitive and attractive for everybody, the shipping lines, the shippers, and the rest. The second bit, when you talk about corridors, which behaves slightly different from the container business, is the bulk business. Because bulk can be looked at as a point-to-point business. And there, some sort of corridors can be set up, and which is what we do. For example, we do have an established corridor for iron ore between Brazil and Rotterdam. But there's a good rationale for that. It's not that there's a corridor just for the sake of developing a corridor. Over the last many decades, Port of Rotterdam authorities have invested heavily on infrastructure, logistics, and captive use. The third part is very important, captive use of iron ore, which makes then justifiable to have a corridor for iron ore between Brazil and Rotterdam. The same for oil. If you look at oil, many people know that behind the kind of the big oil tankers coming in and knocking the port of Rotterdam, we are serving 10 refineries in the hinterland in Germany and 4 very much in the premises of Port of Rotterdam. So these kind of assets and the use of the assets makes kind of corridor a natural phenomenon. But what I want to come to is the last point that you also asked me. When you talk about corridors from the perspective of Port of Rotterdam Authority, or from our role as an authority, we invest heavily in it from time and resource perspective, where there's a role for us to play. And if we talk about new businesses, businesses are, for example, green energy and feedstock. These are the 2 areas we are absolutely actively involved in building and defining corridors, because there's a lot of lobbying to be done. There's a time gap between the actual business happening and what needs to be done for the business to happen. So we need to be in the discussion tables with IMO, with the European Union, with the national governments, and there we are actively engaged. And as you know, we are building the corridor, the digital and the green corridor between Singapore, but that's not the only one. We have a green corridor with Gothenburg. We have a green corridor with Norway. We are developing those corridors. We are building up green corridors for graphite between Canada and Rotterdam, for copper between for Brazil and Rotterdam, and for manganese between Namibia and Rotterdam, because that's another product category which we as a port authority, but also every country, are very much looking at, and that's critical raw minerals or materials. Thank you.
We will move on to Mr. Makrant Pradhan, who is representing the consolidation industry. So Makrant, to make a corridor successful, one of the other parts, like what Mr. Bora spoke about, is affordability. That when you add or make a different route or do it differently, cost is the most important thing, because until it is not economically viable, that alternate route will not work. So what are your views, and what are the practical difficulties you see in this area for development of a corridor?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me. What our moderator has just said, affordability becomes one of the most important things. Without being affordable, it is impossible that any trade can happen. And there are examples where one of the successful routes, I would say China to Europe railway line. What is the market share? The market share is still very, very low compared to the capacity. The only reason is it is costing nearly 2.5 to 3 times more than what it would cost by sea. So just going after corridors is, in my opinion, not very relevant until and unless developments, as Mr. Bora said about the Brazil-Rotterdam route, there is volume, there is a need for that, there is a need for investment into that area, then such corridors are very important, where there is affordability, where there is a necessity, and where it can enhance the economic development of that region. That is, I think, one of the most important reasons for developing or going for a economic corridor, maritime corridor. So, in my opinion, affordability is the most important thing. I would like to talk about this in little bit perspective to a consolidator here. For example, if I have to move cargoes between port to port, at this point of time, it is not feasible, not allowed by customs. With special permissions, it can be done, but it is not a regular movement. It is through human interventions. If cargoes are allowed to be moved between port to port, as it is allowed from ICDs to port, it is definitely going to have an advantage. Like, for example, hardly there are any sailings from Cochin to South America, where there is cargo from Cochin into South America. Cargo comes into Cochin port, it has to go to Singapore. So we are letting go our cargo into some other port, then handling it ourselves. So I would suggest that if these things are done, then cargo can come into any of the ports from where a direct console can be formed and cargo moved. The other thing is, as a consolidator, if we are looking at development of the LCL trade, which is one of the most important things for the development of trade, a lot of samples moving on even before the actual shipments happen. We have to look at some facilities which are equivalent to our neighboring countries like Singapore, like Dubai, Zafza. Here we are operating out of 2 CFSs, both choco-blocked. Now, going ahead, India's volumes are going to develop in a very huge way. If those volumes are to be developed, are there adequate facilities for people to handle those infrastructure to handle those volumes without any problems? I mean, these are the things which are to be created, and this will, I think, help for the development of the LCL trade. This will help in the development of the overall business. That's what I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Makran. Makran has given the LCL perspective, but the last is the most important. Until this gentleman doesn't move the goods to the port or the CFS, nothing moves. He represents the transport industry. So, Ashokji, I would request your views that how do we make these corridors more robust? What has come out amply is there has to be proper legislation between the two countries. Goods have to move seamlessly. Apart from the legislation, the procedures have to be streamlined. We also spoke about if it's going to transit through multiple countries, the methodology for making the adequate payments to the respective entities who come in between, those processes need to be, made smoother. But most importantly, how would the transport industry help in this initiative? And also speak a little bit about the green part, because that's one of the most important tenements of a sustainable corridor.
Definitely. So the first mile and the last mile actually constitutes about 60% of the total logistics cost when you see in a shipment. So definitely transport plays a major role. So first I will talk about the green initiative which the government of India has also started in a big way. Using EV vehicles in a big way. The government has started giving some incentives if you buy a green vehicle. About 10 lakhs is an incentive, but because the EV vehicle costs about 3.5 times than a normal vehicle, it is sometimes very difficult, to have a viability. So for that, we had some solutions which we wanted to present to the government. Probably rather than giving incentives on the buying of a vehicle, if they can give incentives or subsidize the charging points. Not every logistics provider can buy a number of vehicles. So if the charging points are given some kind of a subsidy and a different service provider can provide the charging points, then it might make sense that people can buy more and more EV vehicles. Number two could be giving some kind of incentive for tolls. Currently the tolls are about 10 to 12 rupees per kilometer when you move a heavy duty vehicle, which is very expensive. If I compare it with the overall cost, it is now almost 15% of the overall cost after fuel.
And the third part is giving a green channel. When I say green channel, when we move from, let's say, Nhava Shore port, there's a lot of no entry issues. So just to cover a distance of say 160 kilometers, say Bombay Vapi, we are spending almost 24 hours. So to bring those under control, if at least the EV vehicles are allowed to move freely for 24 hours, maybe we can do bigger number of trips and bring down the cost. Similarly, when we mentioned about the challenges faced at the port, sometimes, especially for exports, I would like to point out over here, sometimes you miss a vessel because of the port congestion, or maybe the vessel skips this thing. The trailers are supposed to wait till the next vessel comes in the port or unload it in a buffer yard. Most of the shippers are not very happy with this solution of putting it in a buffer yard, because again they feel that it may not, because of the congestion, it may not be moved to the vessel. Every export container has an e-seal, so I don't see the reason why the trailer has to be detained. Probably, if we use the tractor trailer policy, which now the RTO also allows, you can have a separate trailer and a separate puller. So if we use that kind of a solution where we can remove the puller and use it for some other purpose, and that the container can remain on the trolley, or it can be offloaded, so we can bring the cost down. Mr. Gadkari has again and again said that we have to bring the cost down by below 10%. And most of the costs, what we see, are due to inefficiencies. One more inefficiency I can mention is the loading and unloading point taken at the shipper end. If that can be properly well organized, and if they can control it properly, again the cost can come down. So 160 kilometer distance, if it is taking 48 hours, so you can imagine the total inefficiency in this thing. So these are some of the solutions which we felt could bring down the logistics cost and also promote EV green energy. Thank you. Thank you, Ashok. Since we have an audience full of stalwarts, I would also encourage if any of the audience members would like to pose a question or make a statement, because at the end of this, I think ASSOCHAM is going to be compiling all the points and putting up to the government for how do you go about strengthening an economic corridor. So the floor is open. Subhita, we have a gentleman here. Yeah, I request you to introduce yourself, so that will be recorded what you say.
My name is Vishal. National building is my passion, and I keep traveling innovative and do the innovation business accelerator. When I was with the president, our minister Suresh Prabhu in 2018 in Oman, so I look for that why we create the lot of as we're looking for the sustainability, we create cold storage warehouses for the agriculture's commodities, because lots of vesting, and those countries are ready to become the investors. So when we create the new facilities, why we approach the countries because this can be only possible when government can become a facilitator. So it can be we get an investment those to create because we see the sustainable loss of waste, food waste happening, and those countries are ready to become a leader supporting us actually. So this is my question.
Is it addressed to any particular person?
Yeah, as you are the...
As a panel, anybody.
Yeah, as a panel. So how we create the new economy, because finally God is so kind for us, something we have to create new infrastructure, something beneficial to the people, and nature. So this way my
It's
approach.
not strictly to the topic, but if anybody would like to respond. He's talking about a new business about how do we reduce food wastage. Have I understood correctly?
They are ready to invest on the cold storage and warehouses for putting the agriculture commodities only, not other things actually.
Yeah, yeah. Would you like to?
Yeah. If I understood it correct, maybe I'll try that. See, this is one of the major aspects, like we spoke about the cost, affordability, and also sustainable setup, that you need to create hubs. For example, that's a classic example is, let us say JAFSA for that matter. JAFSA. Or otherwise, now we have got started Bharat Mart in Dubai. So it's about 2.7 million square feet area where you have got inbuilt showrooms, warehouses. So the trade happens then and there. You have got logistics service and everything inbuilt in under one roof. In JAFSA, for that matter, you have got something like 8,000 global companies operating. And in GCC countries, I think about 85% plus of their food and beverages requirements are imported. So when you have got a hub closer to that setup, you have got these raw agri products, processed, semi-processed agri products which can reach to the customer very, very fast. By setting up that hub, they have also become self-sustaining. In a way, food, sufficient. They are getting it, actually they are able to reduce the time it takes for the agri products to actually reach. Indirectly, it is also avoiding any wastage, as you were mentioning, because of the lack of infrastructure for setting up hubs to make sure that you have got the perishables and others handled properly. So I think once you create a enabling corridor with enabling processes for cross-border cross-border protocols, if you have properly have it aligned, then there would be a lot of investment. Private companies will come and invest because where they find opportunity, I don't think that government needs to drive all the time. The private companies are would be more than willing to invest in places. But most important is to create that ecosystem which will facilitate seamless. As like we to trade in one particular city, likewise we should be able to do in multiple countries. Yeah, probably I don't know whether that is what you are looking for, but anyways.
Thank you, Jibu. Mr. Bora would like to add in something on this.
Actually, I'd just like to add to what Mr. Iti has said. I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question very clearly. Talking about food, Port of Rotterdam, anything that lands in the Port of Rotterdam can reach a consumer base of 300 million people within 24 hours. So Port of Rotterdam, naturally, is also the biggest food hub of West Europe or the whole of Europe. The challenge we faced, like Mr. Iti has pointed out, was wastage. There were more than 25–30% wastage happening a couple of years ago, and that all adds up as a cost to the consumer finally. So what we did is, of course, investing on the right infrastructure, because somebody has to do this, and as a port authority, we need to take the facilitation role for our partners who are based on the premises of the port to be able to do their part well. And today, that wastage has come down to low single-digit number. So that is a good example, and I do agree with Mr. Iti. It's not always about the government. What we need to look at is how the regulations are shaping up. Because today, for example, talking about the carbon trade, again, talking from the perspective of European Union, the carbon credits are going to be over by early 2026, and carbon tax will pick up. At that moment, we all need to collectively look at how can we make the last mile connectivity more green, like you have pointed out. And those are areas which are vital for us as a port authority to be very much part of, to keep commodities and food products affordable at the end of the day.
So on the green part, I'll pose a question to each of the panelists for their thoughts. The question is whether legislation will enforce green initiatives or subsidy or penalties. So what are the thoughts? Because I think these are the absolute ground realities and the rudimentary questions which need to be addressed. Then only the green initiatives can get more popularized. So I will start with Port of Rotterdam. What do you think should be the right way forward? Penalty with legislation or an incentive for a green initiative? How does Europe do it?
I personally don't think it is one above the other. Both the things have to come hand in hand. On one side, penalties do pick up, or penalties are a way of catalyzing further growth. But also, we need to look at the life cycle of the initiatives that we're talking about. If we talk about low carbon transportation, then we're talking, the language that we're talking about is one of penalty. Like if you do not do it right, then in another 1.5 years from now, you'll be exposed to paying carbon tax. So that's a penalty. But then the moment to shift to something new, like green hydrogen, green methanol, green ammonia, you can't start a dialogue by talking about penalty. It's about incentivizing. Because otherwise, nobody will take the first step forward to do the things, both fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. So from the role that we play in terms of lobbying within European Union in Brussels with IMO is all around incentivizing the partners for the new bids. We are RED 3, which is a new regulation for in Europe for the hydrogen business. We are very actively engaging with the European Union and the Commission there to make sure legislations and standards are set up which will make it possible for businesses to adopt the new fuels, but also for the high carbon intensive industries to transition as fast as they want. One big example from the previous years was bunkering fuel. We, together with ports of Wheeling, we lobbied with the IMO to create the right regulations so that low sulfur fuel can be made the standard as a bunkering fuel. So that's what we do then.
So we'll move on to Mr. Jibu for your thoughts.
See, I think getting the right technology in, which is available at your place and also sustainable. For example, whether you go with batteries, your battery disposals, or maybe hydrogen or LNG, CNGs. See, all of it, it matters also on affordability certainly will come in place. For example, in port and terminals, quite a lot of electrification has happened. You'll see that the carbon emission would have drastically come down. You will find all the key cranes, RTGCs and yard cranes and all of it is more or less electrical. It is a normal norm now. We are looking into possibilities of integrating electric trucks. We did many POCs, but again the problem is like the cost vis-a-vis. Ultimately this needs to get paid. It needs to be paid by someone. So the cost viability is always a factor. So there could be regulations, but at the same time incentivizing probably at the purchase level or maybe at a operating level needs to come in. But if I may add one more thing, like for example, we had been doing PPA. I think JNPA also had been the forefront, getting that power purchase agreements. This thing started, but now I think there is some change in the regulation which is coming close. So with that, but currently in our terminal, where I operate DP World Terminal, we have about 2 million units of electrical consumption per month for our internal equipments and all of it. That's 2 million units is what we consume per month. With this PPA, almost 75% on an annualized basis, if you see, is through green power. So through green power, but the enabling, as I was again reiterate, enabling regulations and process, and you should be taking one step forward. When we take 2 steps forward, don't take one backward. So it should be, so in case of PPA, I believe that there would be some change wherein like you won't be incentivized in case if you keep that power supply to the grid. In the morning, you need to consume only in the daytime. It will not be available in night for the future. But
so no carry forward.
Carry forward. I think this sort of uncertainties probably will put a break again. So continuity of guidance is very important.
Makarand, your thoughts, legislation or incentivization?
I think it has to be a mix of both. Either way it would not work, but my 50% thing will go on to not only incentivization or penalties, but getting people aware of if it is not done, what happens. Like for example, our company has already started the process. We are emitting close to 450 tons of carbon per annum. And we have already started taking initiatives to see how we can reduce our carbon footprints, what can be done, consultations are on. So if people are aware about the seriousness of the issue, I think, and they accept it, then it becomes much easier. Both incentivization and this can be aids, but first acceptance. Because I feel that once a person takes it by heart, once a person thinks that it is important for his life, then he does that. That's it.
Thank you, Makran. I'll go on to Adit for your views on it.
For me, creating awareness is the first thing. Incentivization, first for the technologies to be developed. Okay. Incentivization till the industrialization of those technologies happen and the cost of basically the cost per unit is brought down. Once it comes closer to the market, then regulation, and if the regulation is not followed, then penalty is the way I look forward. Yeah.
Ashok, your views?
In my case, a personal experience, I think incentivization has helped a lot. In terms of warehousing, we put up solar panels, so definitely it gives us a saving. The second was the electric vehicle. You know, everybody feels that electric vehicles costing 1.2 crores and the freight cost not going up. You'll be surprised that we reduce the rate for a client using a electric vehicle. But it was a collaborative approach. The customer also helped us a lot. As I mentioned in my first this thing, that they take a lot of time to load and unload. You know, the major this thing. So when we sat with him together and even the customs helped, to be very honest, the loading from the port and then at the warehouse, the unloading time taken and all that, we managed to do 25 trips in place of 12 trips which we used to do earlier. And the economics was definitely there. So it would be a collaborative approach and incentivization which can really push this forward. As a businessman, anybody and everybody would definitely want to make money if you have to go for this kind of penalties definitely would help, but not in the long run. It has to be that the businessman has to make money. Only then this will work. So incentive is the main thing. Collaborative approach from all stakeholders is very, very important. I'll just, it's a small matter, like paying digital payment, paying 500 rupees at an empty yard, it is taking 7 to 8 hours, which can easily be abolished. And then all the stakeholders need to come together and come to arrive at a solution where all these small inefficiencies need to be removed. And definitely this can make wonders. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashok. Mr. Bora wants to just pitch in, and we have somebody in the audience also wants to make a
I
point.
just wanted to build up to what Mr. Goel said. Penalty is not the end goal of anything, basically, right? So even if we penalize, we need to provide alternatives. For example, it's a fact that inland water vessels would be exposed to carbon taxes if they do not do something about their fuel. But then to just tell them that you'll be penalized if you do not do something is not enough. You need to also provide them incentives to do things faster. So for example, we have structured our port calls in such a way that we are open to give discounts in our port fees, on 3 parameters. One is volume, which is very traditional, but we also give a discount if somebody has won a green award. There is a platform, I do not know much about it, but somebody winning a green award gets a reward, to the point that if somebody has got a platinum award, they do not have to pay anything in terms of port call. I do not know what they have to do to be that, but it's called a platinum award, then no fees. And same like that, any sustainable activities, shipping lines like the gentleman here, if they're doing, they need to be incentivized in terms of lower port call fees. Otherwise, why would they take that first call to do things before others? Because that involves a cost as well.
Thank you. We have somebody from the audience.
Hello, audible. Good morning to all of you, distinguished panels. My question is, as the name suggests, it's the Sustainable Maritime Economic Corridors. So it takes care of the environment part of it. We discussed maritime economic corridors. So economic point, that the affordability and also the what do you call it? What do you call? Affordability is the right word. So that is taken care of. My question is, how it will ensure the maritime security along these corridors, taking into consideration the changing geopolitical situations all around the world. So how that security aspect will be taken care of. My second question to the representative of Netherlands, Rotterdam port, is that when he told that he has various routes, they have developed various corridors with the various countries like Brazil and Norway he was talking about. So it is the trade that is between two countries he's talking about, or anything more than that?
I think we can start with the first question, security. So I think, could you answer that, yeah, Jibu? Especially considering India-Middle East corridor is the next buzzword. So.
Yeah, security for that aspect, it's very important. Like when you are talking about alternate corridors, basically that is stemming up from the basis of the existing corridors can be a disruptive, unsecured, may not give you the type of, 24/7, round the year, credible connectivity. That probably is the reason why you need to look at alternates, like for example. But when you are bringing in alternate routes, the alignment, as I said, the business protocol being established between countries are important to ensure that all through the corridor which is connecting the various countries, the cargo moves secured. And let us say that the cargo movement is not used for any other purpose for that matter. So that is why there is a need for all these customs and other stakeholders to be well aligned on a certain single platform or maybe a one window setup. And also there should be certain common entity to address grievances all across this various countries. Establishing security, geopolitical issues will have to be kept aside. But having said that, ensuring that security on the corridor, quite a lot will depend on what sort of regulatory as well as alignments are done between the countries to ensure that the whole set of countries work as one unit. And for example, data, even today, your data standardization itself would be a great challenge between various countries. You do have PCS in many countries, but interoperability of this PCS, port community systems, would be a challenge. So each of these places do have, maybe they are enabling stakeholder digital platforms, but when you have many countries aligned, brought in one corridor, aligning them would be, I think, the most important aspect too, and it should have a transparent discussion between the countries to make sure that it is all taken care and declarations are done smoothly. I think that trust is the one which will bring in that security confidence.
There's one small initiative between Government of India and UAE government. We're trying to make our IGMs the corresponding countries' EGMs. Sorry, EGMs the corresponding countries' IGMs. Yeah, and that's going on with Middle East. And I think Indian Railway, IRTC has got that contract.
I think Maitri is a virtual trade corridor which is being built between India and UAE. And quite a lot of this data transfer is seamlessly being tried out today, now as we speak.
So that makes the documentation security intact because nobody can intervene and change details of the consignment. And then, of course, there are other parts of the security which either part of the countries can do. So we'll move on to Mr. Bora and then we'll do the wrap-up session because we have 5 minutes left now.
So security again, it's security in terms of information security is as vital as the security in terms of the traditional definition of it, exposed to risk, physical harm, both to the human and to the goods, that's there. And of course, like everybody said, there are multiple forums where security discussions happen. International Association of Ports and Harbor, these are representation bodies where people can go discuss their problems, and then this can be taken up with the national governments as well, on top of the government-to-government discussions which are happening. So we are very much part of those discussions as the Port of Rotterdam Authority. Coming to the specific question about corridors, you mentioned about Brazil, for example. Well, initially, it does probably starts as a country-to-country corridor because, again, there's business justification for that. But once a corridor sets up, it's all about affordability. Now, there's a lot of consolidation happening in the Brazilian hub for iron ore before it gets transported to Rotterdam, because if you look at the efficiency which has been created in that particular corridor over time, that justifies local consolidation being done in Brazil as against smaller volumes transported from those little ports to the end destination in anywhere in Europe. So it's at the end of the day, it's all a kind of a bottom line analysis. The initiation could be something different. But please keep in mind, when I talk about the country corridors, there are few which are existing. Those are for the bulk, but many are just an idea at this moment. The green and the digital corridor with Singapore is an idea we are exploring. Of course, it'll come into play, but there's a lot to happen before we start actually bunkering ships with green methanol and green ammonia, because it's not just about somebody saying that, let me do that. There's a lot of cost involved, a lot of alignment, a lot of infrastructure development, and a lot more other things which probably are quite unknown even. That, please keep that in mind as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So just to do the wrap up, I think the voice is very clear amongst the panelists that a corridor will come up, is the need of the hour as an alternate to different routes, trade routes, especially the Suez Canal route for India to Europe. And we have the route of India, INSTC to the CIS countries and Russia. So these will come up, but they have their own set of challenges. It's a process which is to be followed. A lot of intergovernment cooperation needs to be streamlined with respect to how the cargo transits through the country. But it will definitely and surely come up in the near future. And as far as the sustainability on the green initiatives go, one of the thoughts was Mr. Delvi, whom I'm filling in for today, spoke about it yesterday, that green initiatives are very difficult to just implement if you take it as an open-ended discussion or an open-ended platform. But if you have a particular corridor, say India, Middle East, and then you talk about a green initiative only in that corridor, then it becomes a little bit more disciplined and a little bit more manageable to do, that you can have the feeder operator green and then probably certain captive equipment on either side, which is you're going to be green. That way, a green initiative is a little bit more easier to do because it's a concentrated effort. So the overall, I think the opinion is very clear that an economic corridor is needed for the country, especially for the Europe movements. And we hope, as collectively we are all from the EXIM community, that this will come up, and we look forward to it. Thank you for the patient hearing and the good questions which have been asked to the panelists. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bhatia sir, and all the eminent panelists. It has been a very nice panel discussion. Now we are winding up this morning session now. So we are now going for a lunch break. All delegates are requested to come to third floor, just one floor down. You have lunch there. VIPs and panelists will have lunch in the guest house. So after that, we have to come back here by 2 o'clock. The minister, our chief minister, as well as the deputy prime minister of Singapore will be arriving at 2:15. So kindly be back at the seat by 2 o'clock. In fact, we have almost more than 300 people who are registered, but we have only 200 seats capacity. So therefore, we have given the seat number on the ID card, which is given. So kindly, when you come back, please be seated. The first and the second row is for VIPs. For that, we will given separate names. So otherwise, if any issue is there, please contact any of us. We will be glad to help you. So let's break for the lunch and then come back at 2 o'clock. Thank you very much. Hello, hello. Just one small thing, since there is a lot of registration and we were not able to accommodate all, we have arranged a hall in the ground floor. There we are providing a live feed of the function. So those who have not received any seat number in your this thing, please come to the ground floor after lunch. There you can see the entire thing. We have provided seats as well as TV and screens so that you won't have any problem there. Only those people who is having this seat number on your badge will be able to come into this hall. Please, thank you.
Check. Hello, check. Hello. Hello.
इसको ये रखें इसको बताना पड़ेगा
Hey, check, check. Hello. Hello, check. काका माईक चालू ठेवा माईक ठेवतोय केक इथे मध्ये कॉर्डलेस ते बोलतात ठेव
इलेक्ट्रिक सर्टिफिकेशन इलेक्ट्रिक सेशन
Check. 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 Check.
of the program. Thank you.
A small announcement, delegates who are not having the seat numbers could be seated at the ground floor. We have arranged the entire event which would be telecast over there. Due to limited capacity, we have made this arrangement. So same arrangement is there at downstairs, ground floor.
Started, so another 5 minutes we should start. वो बहुत जरूरी है.
Kind request to all of you, please be kindly seated. The dignitaries are on the way. They will be here at the venue in the next 10 minutes.
Physically ask people to settle down, otherwise it won't work.
Delegates in the second row and third row, kind request to please take your seats. Yadav sir, can you please request the dignitaries to please take the seat?
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे। गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Thank you. With this, let's start the event on an auspicious note by lighting of the lamp. I request all the dignitaries to please step forward for the lighting of the lamp with Ganesh Vandana in Marathi.
वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा।
भाविक रसिकांनो,
Thank you, sir. Today we are privileged to have with us His Excellency Gan Kim Yong, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, Shri Devendra Fadnavis ji, Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and His Excellency Jeffrey Seow, Honorable Acting Transport Minister of Singapore, gracing today's Leaders' Dialogue. May I also welcome Shri T.K. Ramchandran, Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways, and Shri R. Lakshmanan, Joint Secretary Ports, MOPSW. May I request Shri T.K. Ramchandran ji, Secretary, Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways, and Chairman JNPA, to please welcome His Excellency Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore. Let's have a huge round of applause for our esteemed dignitaries here. Under Sustainability Initiative, we have planted trees on the behalf of our dignitaries. May I request Shri Lakshmanan ji and Chairman JNPO to please welcome Shri Devendra Fadnavis ji, Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra. So the trees planted on Fadnavis ji is displayed on the screen. I request her to please welcome His Excellency Jeffrey Seow, Honorable Acting Transport Minister. Thank you, sir. Today we gather not only to discuss the future of shipping, but to actively shape it towards a future that is cleaner, smarter, and more connected. The Indian ports and shipping industry plays a vital role in sustaining growth in the country's trade and commerce. And JN Port, India's best performing port, is more than just India's largest container port. Under the visionary leadership of Chairman Shri Unmesh Sharad Wagh, JNPA's growth journey has been expanded. With no further ado, may I request Chairman JNPA to please welcome the gathering.
Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, Mr. Gan Kim Yong, Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Shri Devendra Fadnavis, Honorable Transport Minister of Singapore, Mr. Jeffrey Seow, Honorable MLA, Shri Mahesh Baldi, Honorable Secretary Shri T.K. Ramchandran, Shri R. Lakshmanan, Joint Secretary, Shri Shyam Jagannathan, Director General of Shipping, Shri B.K. Tyagi, CMD, Shipping Corporation of India, Shri Manoj Kumar Semwal, Shri Sunil Mukundan, Senior Officers of Government of Maharashtra, members of media, distinguished guests and friends. It is both an honor and a privilege to welcome you to the Leaders' Dialogue on Green and Digital Maritime Corridors, hosted here at Jawaharlal Nehru Port Authority, India's largest container port and one of the most efficient port of the world. This reputation of excellence has been built through enduring partnerships, both domestic and global. Among these, our collaboration with the Port of Singapore stand out as a shining example. Today, this partnership accounts for half of JNPA's total capacity. Your Excellency, we are deeply grateful that JNPA was chosen for Singapore's largest investment in India. I would like to express heartfelt thanks to Honorable Chief Minister Shri Devendra Fadnavis, whose unwavering commitment to the maritime sector has ensured that all our expansion projects are completed ahead of schedule. Sir, I assure you, the Vadwan project will be no exception. It too will be delivered before time. Honorable Minister Shri Sarvanand Sonowal could not attend today's function because of his commitment in Parliament. The past 4 years, under the dynamic leadership of Honorable Minister Shri Sarvanand Sonowal, have truly marked a golden era for the India's maritime sector. His tenure has seen significant progress on Vadwan and Galathea Bay ports, the signing of landmark 10-year India-Iran Chabahar Port Agreement pending since 2002, the launch of India's shipbuilding policy and Maritime Development Fund, the introduction of green shipping and green sea policies, setting new benchmark in sustainability. Each segment of maritime industry has advanced remarkably during his period. The resounding success of 2023 Maritime Summit under the able guidance of Secretary Shri T.K. Ramchandran is a testament to this momentum. We now eagerly look forward to Maritime Week in Mumbai this October, poised to be one of the most significant global maritime gatherings. Today's dialogue is the starting point of a conversation that will grow in depth and vision over the coming months, culminating during Maritime Week. I thank one of you for your presence and commitment today. Together, let us chart a course towards greener, smarter, and more connected maritime future. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir, for the inspiring words. The Green and Digital Shipping Corridor initiative represents a new era of maritime cooperation, where sustainability and digitalization are not just parallel goals, but interlinked priorities that drive competitive, resilient, and future-ready trade. Please join me in welcoming Shri T.K. Ramchandran, Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways, to share his views on the same. Sir.
His Excellency, the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, Mr. Gan Kim Yong, Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Shri Devendra Fadnavis ji, Honorable Transport Minister of Singapore, Mr. Jeffrey C. Saau, Honorable MLA Shri Mahesh Baldi, my colleague and Chairman of JNPA, Shri Unmesh Wagh, Shri Lakshmanan, Joint Secretary MOPSW, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you all on behalf of the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways to this pivotal session of India Maritime Week 2025, dedicated to leaders' dialogue on green and digital maritime corridors. The Honorable Shipping Minister, who was very much intending to be here with you this afternoon, could not because of other commitments in Parliament. So he sends his greetings and best wishes to all the dignitaries on the dais as well as all of you. Your presence here today reflects a shared commitment to shaping a maritime future that is sustainable, digitally empowered, and globally integrated. As global trade continues to expand, maritime transport remains its backbone, accounting for nearly 80% of international trade by volume. Yet, the shipping industry contributes approximately 3% of global greenhouse gas emissions, emitting over 1 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide annually. If left unaddressed, these emissions will undermine our collective climate goals and maritime sustainability. To meet the IMO's 2050 decarbonization targets, at least 5% of global shipping must operate on zero-emission fuels by 2030. This transition demands innovation, investment, and infrastructure, pillars that green and digital shipping corridors are uniquely positioned to support. Green and digital shipping corridors are not merely trade routes, they are strategic platforms for transformation. They foster cross-sector collaboration, drive policy innovation, and stimulate technological advancement. Their benefits span environmental gains, operational efficiencies, and societal impact. These corridors offer cleaner marine ecosystems, enhanced biodiversity, and reduced emissions. They also enable lower fuel costs, reduced anchorage times, and optimized voyages. Most importantly, they support healthier coastal communities and inclusive economic growth. Key focus areas for these corridors include the adoption of zero-emission fuels such as green hydrogen, ammonia, and renewable electricity, the development of port infrastructure for bunkering and electrification, the advancement of ship design and automation, and the use of digital tools. In this context, I am pleased to highlight the India-Singapore Green and Digital Shipping Corridor, a flagship initiative under our comprehensive strategic partnership. Formalized through a letter of intent signed in March 2025, this corridor aligns with both nations' priorities in clean energy, smart logistics, and digital innovation. It may also be recalled that in the Maritime Amritkal Vision 2047, which was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister in 2023 in this very same city, one of the key pillars is digital, the other is green. And under the guidance of our Honorable Prime Minister and of course our Honorable Minister, we have been taking all these initiatives forward, and today's initiatives are part of this set of initiatives. India, with its strength in green fuel production, information technology, and shipbuilding, is poised to become a global hub for green marine fuel exports. Singapore, as a premier transshipment and bunkering hub, brings a dynamic ecosystem of research, innovation, and maritime excellence. Together, we aim to accelerate the adoption of zero or near zero greenhouse gas technologies, enhance digital integration across port and shipping operations, and create a replicable model for sustainable maritime corridors worldwide. India and Singapore share a rich maritime legacy. Historically, Singapore was governed from Kolkata during the colonial era. Diplomatic ties were established in 1965, and the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement signed in 2005 laid the foundation for robust trade and investment. Today, as mentioned earlier, Singapore is India's largest trading partner in ASEAN, the top source of foreign direct investment, and a key collaborator in urban planning, infrastructure development, and maritime innovation. The recent India-Singapore Ministerial Roundtable has identified new areas for collaboration, including green hydrogen and ammonia exports, undersea solar energy cable and data connectivity, skill development for over 1 lakh Indian youth annually, and joint ventures in advanced manufacturing and maritime technology. These initiatives will further deepen our bilateral ties and position both nations as leaders in sustainable maritime development. The India Maritime Week 2025 is envisioned as the largest maritime event globally, bringing together over 100 countries, more than 1 lakh delegates, and investment opportunities exceeding 10 lakh crores. Thematic sessions on Green Maritime Day, digitalization and future tech, and ports of the future will be complemented by strategic forums such as the Global Maritime India Summit, the Sagar Manthan Dialogue, and the Quad Ports of the Future Conference. IMW 2025 is not just a showcase, it is a springboard for global partnerships, policy innovation, technology adoption, and sustainable development. As we chart our course towards Maritime Amritkal Vision 2047, let us embrace the power of collaboration, sustainability, and digital transformation. The India-Singapore Green and Digital Shipping Corridor is not just a bilateral initiative, it is a lighthouse guiding the global maritime community towards a cleaner, smarter, and more resilient future. Let this dialogue be the beginning of many more such partnerships that will shape the oceans of tomorrow. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful perspective, especially on the maritime corridors. So JN Port has become India's largest container port by crossing 10 million TEU mark. And our terminal, BMCT, developed by Port of Singapore, has a major role in that. Can we have an informative video on our terminal BMCT?
At PSA India, we believe in constantly expanding our horizons. And today, this vision is enabling us to take a bold new step towards transforming India's logistics ecosystem. PSA India is entering a new phase of expansion with the successful expansion of its Phase 2 operations at PSA Mumbai. A beacon of empowering growth and expanding capacity where scale meets efficiency. Strategically located at Jawaharlal Nehru Port, Nhava Sheva, this expansion makes PSA Mumbai India's largest container terminal. With a continuous quay length of 2 kilometers, the terminal now delivers an impressive handling capacity of 4.8 million TEUs, nearly 50% of JNPA's total capacity. Soon to be equipped with 24 state-of-the-art quay cranes, capable of handling the largest container vessels in the world, PSA Mumbai ensures quick turnaround and higher productivity. Spanning 200 hectares, the container yard features 72 electric RTG cranes, efficiently managing both inbound and outbound cargo. PSA Mumbai stands apart as the only container terminal at JNPA equipped to handle DFC connectivity. The large and secure gate complex with 32 in and out gates that have been re-engineered for smoother, faster, and safer cargo flow. Leading by example, PSA Mumbai is in redefining smart infrastructure and seamless operations. PSA Mumbai stands ready to power a more connected tomorrow. At the center of our digital leap is GTOS, PSA's own terminal operating system. It brings intelligent planning, live insights, and seamless coordination to every move at our terminals. Efficient, scalable, future-ready. PSA India, India's gateway to growth.
Week unfold. Can we have the week unfold? Can we have the video, please?
From the ancient trade winds to the digital corridors of today, the oceans have always connected nations, cultures, and opportunities. At the heart of this global network stands Mumbai, a vibrant maritime capital where ideas, innovation, and investments from around the world come together. India Maritime Week emerges as a truly global platform for maritime dialogue, where policymakers, industry leaders, and innovators from around the world come together to shape the future of the blue economy. In 2025, the conversations get bigger and smarter, with visionary forums, transformative collaborations, and a shared vision for sustainable growth across the global maritime sector. From the Global Maritime India Summit to the Green Maritime Day, Sagar Manthan, the Great Ocean Dialogue to Ports of the Future, the Global Maritime CEO Forum, the Women in Maritime CEO Conference, the Sagar Ratna Awards, India Maritime Heritage, the UNESCAP Conference, and the Maritime Digitalization and Future Tech Summit to the Competitive Financing for Blue Economy Dialogue. India Maritime Week 2025 brings together 11 concurrent events shaping the entire spectrum of the maritime world. The Leaders' Dialogue on Green and Digital Maritime Corridors celebrates a partnership built on trust, innovation, and shared responsibility for the Indo-Pacific, and showcases the strength of collaboration between two dynamic maritime ecosystems. It is a bond strengthened by the strong partnership between India and Singapore, a symbol of bilateral resolve for a sustainable maritime future. It's where relationships are built, partnerships are forged, and the
Request to join Mr. Kaustubh Dhavse, Chief Advisor to Chief Minister, Investment and Strategy for the exchange of MOU. Headquartered in Singapore, Mapletree is a global real estate developer, investor, capital and property manager committed to sustainability. Under this MOU, Mapletree has committed to invest rupees 3,000 crores in Maharashtra over the next 5 years, developing industrial parks, logistics and warehousing facilities and data centers in key cities such as Mumbai, Pune and Nagpur. Please join me in congratulating both the teams. Thank you, sir, for giving this Leaders' Dialogue session to witness this landmark moment. Our next speaker, His Excellency Geoffroy Seow, was appointed Acting Minister for Transport on May 23, 2025. Before this role, he served as Senior Minister of State for Finance and held key positions in ministries related to manpower, trade, industry, and transport. Mr. Seow plays a significant role in shaping Singapore's transport policies, including the maritime sector, which is central to Singapore's economy. The Ministry of Transport under his leadership emphasizes investments in sustainable and digital maritime infrastructure, port innovation, and strengthening Singapore's position as a global maritime hub. It is my honor to welcome to the stage His Excellency Geoffroy Seow, Honorable Acting Minister for Transport, Singapore.
Excellencies, Shri Devendra Fadnavis, Chief Minister of Maharashtra, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for hosting Deputy Prime Minister Gan Kim Yong and I for today's event. Very happy to be here at the Indian Maritime Week and of course for the opportunity to speak to all of you at the Leaders' Dialogue. Deputy Prime Minister and I were at the PSA Bharat Mumbai Container Terminal just this morning. I think, yes. We just flew in today, so a little bit confused about the time. But as you saw in the video, it's a remarkable development, remarkable achievement. It is something that was planned a very long time ago, and I was sharing with the Chief Minister that it takes a government of remarkable foresight, leadership, in order to be able to achieve a project of this scale and immensity today. In fact, Chief Minister had laid the first foundation stone for the terminal in the year 2013. And for it to be what it is today shows the remarkable energy, the dedication to making things happen through COVID, through a pandemic, if we all remember. So we were very happy to be there, to be able to see the project come to completion. And in fact, the first stage of the growth, the key cranes will be coming, and soon the operations will be ongoing. And we were very happy, of course, to have a Singapore company like PSA International to work with Indian counterparts to achieve this mutual success. We have in fact seen many joint ventures and partnerships between PSA as well as the Container Corporation of India just last year to provide end-to-end logistics services. Likewise, there have been many Indian companies such as Tata Group and Tolani that have ventured into Singapore to explore opportunities in the region. And there's many more that we can talk about. Specifically on the transport front, we have deep, long-standing relations. As my colleague from the Ministry of Ports and Shipping and Waterways said just now, India and Singapore share a very deep maritime history. And as a result, we have been working on many projects in the maritime sector. Our governments have been working closely, both bilaterally and at multilateral platforms such as the International Maritime Organization. And this year is a very important and significant year for us because we are enhancing our collaboration through signing a memorandum of understanding on the Singapore-India Green and Digital Shipping Corridor. It's a not so nice short form, GDSC MOU, but it stands for the Singapore-India Green and Digital Shipping Corridor. And under this MOU, both countries will work closely with interested industry partners to explore opportunities to develop supply chains for low emissions maritime fuels. And this would include training requirements for seafarers to handle such fuels. Both countries will also explore facilitating digital information exchange, which will enable more efficient port clearance and facilitate the flow of vessels between Singapore and India. This collaboration builds on the synergies between India and Singapore. India, as we all know, is a leading player in many things, but especially in information technology. And India has been working on becoming a major producer and exporter of green marine fuel. Singapore is well positioned, not as big as India, but we are positioned to be the world's largest bunkering and transshipment port with a dynamic research and innovation ecosystem in green marine fuel. And I'm confident that both India and Singapore will complement each other, and both the businesses and startups in both countries will prosper together. Since signing the letter of intent in April this year during the Singapore Maritime Week, officials from both India and Singapore governments have been working tirelessly on this MOU, and I look forward to the conclusion of this MOU by both our Prime Ministers in September this year when they meet. The MOU gives us a platform for both countries to work closely together. There will be more to come. Singapore looks forward to further cooperation with India in the areas of transport, maritime, and of course that will serve as the foundation for economic development and people-to-people ties. Thank you very much.
On behalf of all present, I extend a heartfelt thanks to Mr. Seo for his thought-provoking and enlightening address, given us much to reflect upon as we move forward. As mentioned earlier, our Honorable Union Minister for Port, Shipping and Waterways, Sri Sarvanand Sonowalji, was unable to attend today's main event due to certain exigencies, but we have a video message from our visionary leader who has been steering India's maritime sector towards unprecedented growth and transformation. Can we have the video message, please?
Namaskar. Good afternoon to everybody. Respected Gan Kim Yang, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, respected Sri Devendra Fadnavis ji, Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, respected Jeffrey Seo, Acting Transport Minister of Singapore. It is a great honor and privilege to welcome His Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, and his delegation to to Jawaharlal Nehru Port Authority, India's premier container port. Your presence today at JNPA reflect the vibrancy of our partnership and the deep and enduring commitment between our two nations. I extend to you a very warm welcome on behalf of the Ministry of Port Shipping Waterways and the people of India. I also heartfully welcome the dynamic and visionary Chief Minister of Maharashtra for joining us at the Leaders' Dialogue at JNPA. Much as I would have loved to join the distinguished gathering today, unfortunately, due to an unavoidable parliamentary exigency, I am unable to be with you. The change of plan is deeply regretted. I am certain that the address today from our distinguished dignitaries will be enlightening for our many international delegates, business leaders, entrepreneurs, policymakers, and media friends. Dear delegates, India and Singapore share a strong and multifaceted partnership rooted in mutual respect, shared values, and a common vision for prosperity. Under the visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, our bilateral relations have expanded across sectors. Connectivity forms an important pillar of this bilateral partnership. I had the privilege of visiting Singapore myself earlier this year for the Singapore Maritime Week, an enriching opportunity to engage with global maritime leaders and reaffirm our shared commitment to sustainable growth. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and appreciate PSA International investment in Bharat Mumbai Container Terminals. At JNPA, BMCT exemplifies our shared vision to build modern, world-class port infrastructure. It is an example of reform-led growth model that India pursues and reflects the confidence that global partners like Singapore place in India's economic resilience and growth potential. Building on the partnership, earlier this year, India and Singapore signed a letter of intent to establish a green and digital shipping corridor. This initiative will accelerate the adoption of low-emission technologies, strengthen digital integration, and drive innovation in maritime operation. You can truly see the magic of skill and scale once the corridor develops. The Government of India is fully committed to facilitating long-term foreign investment in maritime and logistics sector. Our pro-investment policies anchored in PM Gati Shakti and the National Logistic Policy are designed to create seamless multimodal connectivity, reduce logistic cost, and improve ease of doing business. I invite our Singaporean partners to explore new opportunities in India's growing logistic and port ecosystem. The time is ripe for deeper collaboration. I would also like to take this opportunity to extend a warm invitation to His Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister and his delegation for the inaugural ceremony of India Maritime Week 2025, which will be held in Mumbai from October 27, 2025. This prestigious event in one of the most important maritime capitals of the world will bring together key stakeholders from the global maritime community to discuss and explore opportunities for collaboration, innovation, and growth in the sector. Your esteemed presence would be an honor and a significant contribution to strengthening maritime ties between India and Singapore. Once again, I express my sincere gratitude to Deputy Prime Minister Gan, Minister Jeffrey Seo, visiting delegates from Singapore and the PSA group for your commitment to India. We deeply value this partnership and will extend all possible support to ensure your continued success. I also thank the Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra for giving strength to our program today with his presence and for the deep partnership between Government of India and Government of Maharashtra towards realizing the vision of Maritime Amrit Kal Vision 2047. Thank you. Jai Hind.
It's a true privilege to hear his vision and guidance as always. His tireless commitment to innovation, sustainability, and inclusive development continues to inspire stakeholders across the maritime spectrum. It is now my privilege to invite to the podium a leader whose vision and dedication have been pivotal in driving Maharashtra's growth across industry, infrastructure, and innovation. Under his leadership, the state has strengthened its position as India's economic powerhouse, with transformative initiatives in ports, logistics, and maritime connectivity that are shaping a brighter future for our people. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Shri Devendra Fadnavis ji.
Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, Mr. Gan Kim Yong, Honorable Minister of Transport, Singapore, Mr. Jeffrey Seo, Mr. T.K. Ramachandran, Secretary Ports, Government of India, Mr. Unmesh Wagh, Chairman JNPA, Mr. Lakshmanan, Joint Secretary Ports, all the dignitaries present here, dear friends. At the very outset, I would like to welcome His Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore and the entire delegation to this beautiful city of Mumbai, which is a financial, commercial, and entertainment capital of India. And I'm sure that your visit will deepen the ties between India and Singapore and also Maharashtra and Singapore. This morning, after His Excellency's arrival, we visited the new PSA terminal at JNPA. And I must thank the PSA and also the Government of Singapore for creating such a state-of-art terminal, which is now totally ready for inauguration. And I'm sure that soon we will witness both the Prime Ministers inaugurating this beautiful terminal, which will add to the maritime power of India. As we all know that now this terminal will account for 50% of the container handling capacity of JNPA, and that will bring a boost to the global trade of India. Having said that, I am very happy that today India and Singapore are collaborating in diverse fields, in the field of maritime trade, maritime infrastructure, in the field of digitization, in the field of data center, in the field of logistics. We just witnessed one such MOU with the maple tree, and after this program, in another program, we are again will be witnessing few more such MOUs. And I think this is not only bringing the two economies closer, but it is also opening doors for many more such collaborations in future. And today, as we are deliberating on green and digital maritime corridors, I think this collaboration is very important to create this entire ecosystem of green and digital maritime corridor. All of us know that India also has a very rich maritime history, and we all know that the Chol Empire was world maritime power at that time. And we have also seen in the world history that the world trade is always dominated by the maritime superpowers. And that is why the entire maritime business is very important. In fact, all of us know that Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, the great king from Maharashtra, the great king of India, was one who understood the power of maritime business and maritime security. And today, the entire western coast, which we see where the JNPA port is also situated, is safe and is ready for business only because of the vision of our King Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. And I would say that in the 21st century, it is our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who has understood that for India's growth, the maritime infrastructure will be very important, and he spearheaded this entire maritime revolution in India by creating the Amrutkal Maritime Vision 2047. Our Prime Minister aims to make India one of the biggest player in the maritime space. And aligned to his vision, the government of Maharashtra has also planned many initiatives to actually be part of this Amrutkal vision. We are also creating a maritime vision for the state of Maharashtra, whereby the immediate vision document will be our goals up to 2029, our intermediate goals will be up to 2035, and then ultimately up to 2047. And I am sure that in days to come, Maharashtra will play pivotal role in this entire reshaping of the maritime infrastructure and maritime ecosystem in India. I am very happy that now we are also building the Vadhavan port, which will be not just India's biggest port, but which will be one amongst the 10 big ports of the world from the day one. I'm very happy that the chairman JNPA Port has promised us that the building of this port will be achieved in time. I think this port is actually, it will take Maharashtra and India to another league, and it will make us a maritime superpower. But as we rightly say that in today's world, what matters most is sustainability and efficiency. And I think in the maritime sector also, now that we are focusing more on sustainability, like creating green corridors, like creating new efficient fuels, and India is also leading the way. Along with the Singapore, we have already charted MOU, and both the countries will collaborate with each other for creating new green corridors, for exchanging the new technologies, for exporting the green fuel technologies, and I'm sure that it will be beneficial for both the countries. And today, India has grown its digital infrastructure many-fold. And I think the initiatives like e-Samudra, where lot of digitization has gone into the maritime services, it is also creating efficiencies in the entire maritime trade. I think all the initiatives which are taken up by the government of India in the maritime sector, especially to use all the digital technologies, will bring a lot of efficiencies and will also create India's new supply chains for the world. And I am sure in this entire journey, we have the government of Singapore as our most trusted friend, and that's why I would like to thank the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister and the Honorable Minister for being our partners. And I feel that this partnership will not just be restricted at the JNPA, but it will also be taken forward to the Vadhavan port, where we'll again create a very efficient terminal and will witness one more MOU in this sector. I would like to thank our Ministry of Shipping, the JNPA port, and all the authorities for organizing this dialogue. And once again, from Government of Maharashtra, and also from my friend and the Union Minister, Shri Sarbanand Sonowal ji, who could not come here, I would once again like to welcome you. I hope that your trip will be very fruitful. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.
On behalf of everyone present, we express our deepest gratitude to the Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra for his insightful and motivating address, which reinforces our collective commitment to building a stronger and more sustainable maritime future. Thank you once again, sir. India and Singapore share a robust and multifaceted bilateral relationship that has flourished over the past 60 years, marked by strong political, economic, security, and cultural ties. Singapore's status as a leading global maritime and financial hub complements India's expanding economy and technological capabilities. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to welcome to the stage a leader whose vision and policies have played a pivotal role in advancing global trade, strengthening economic partnership, and fostering innovation-driven growth. As Minister for Trade and Industry of the Republic of Singapore and as the Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, His Excellency Gan Kim Yong has been instrumental in deepening bilateral and multilateral cooperation, championing sustainable development, and driving digital transformation. Please join me in welcoming Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, His Excellency Gan Kim Yong.
Excellencies, Sri Devendra Fadnavis, Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Gobu Salaya, Director of PSA, Managing Director of PSA India, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. First, let me thank you for inviting me to the India Maritime Week. This is a very important event, and today's topic is also very relevant on the green and digital maritime corridors. As all of us know, we are facing a fundamental existential challenge of a climate change. And this climate change is a global challenge, and it requires collective effort from everyone to contribute towards a more sustainable future. At the same time, digitalization is also another mega trend that's changing the world. With the advent of digitalization, and now with AI and even Gen AI, I think this will become a key tool to allow companies and enterprises to transform and transit towards a more sustainable future, but also allow them to be more efficient, more productive, more competitive. So I think green and digital maritime corridors are very important, and all of us must do our part to transit towards a more sustainable future. And in this regard, Singapore and India are working on an MOU on developing a green and digital shipping corridor. I think this is our contribution towards a more sustainable maritime sector. And PSA is in a leadership position in charting the path forward for a more sustainable shipping industry. It is my pleasure this morning to visit PSA's newly completed Bharat Mumbai Container Terminal Phase 2. This investment is a very significant investment, but it is also a testament to the strong and enduring partnership between PSA Group and India, and between India and Singapore. As you know, we are celebrating or marking our 60th anniversary of bilateral diplomatic relationship between Singapore and India. And thank you. And this investment, as well as many other investments that we have made in India, reflects these strong ties between India and Singapore. And we hope we will continue to grow this partnership. Phase 1 of the project is a good demonstration of how world-class port operations can benefit India by enhancing efficiency, reducing turnaround time, and boosting competitiveness for India's exporters and importers. Phase 2 builds on this success and doubles the capacity of the terminal to 2.4 million TEUs from 2.4 million TEUs to 4.8 million TEUs. This will make BMCT the largest standalone container terminal in India. This terminal also represents a new milestone in PSA's journey in India. Over almost 3 decades, PSA has invested a total of $2.3 billion in India, of which more than half is in BMCT. The success of BMCT demonstrates how Singapore companies can contribute to India's growth and development. Especially at a time of significant volatility in the global trading environment, ports like BMCT play a critical role in keeping trade flowing and economies growing. This expansion will not only boost regional trade, but also create significant employment opportunities for the local population. As Singapore and India celebrates our 60 years of bilateral relations, there is room for us to do more in strengthening and deepening our collaboration, particularly in the maritime sector. Indeed, maritime connectivity is a key focus under the connectivity pillar of the India-Singapore Ministerial Roundtable. Besides port operations, Singapore companies have been active across India's maritime landscape in areas such as shipbuilding, renewable energy, and green shipping solutions. Through the ISMR, we seek to find new avenues to deepen our partnership further. For example, as I mentioned, both Singapore and India are working on the MOU to develop a green and digital shipping corridor. This will in turn accelerate the shift of our maritime sector towards greener solutions and smarter routing. Beyond our maritime and connectivity sectors, Singapore and India share deep and broad economic ties across many areas. Our comprehensive economic cooperation agreement, signed almost 2 decades ago, laid a foundation for growing trade and investment flows between our two countries. Today, Singapore is one of India's largest source of foreign direct investment. In particular, there are many Singapore companies in Maharashtra across different sectors such as infrastructure and urban solutions, logistics and connectivity, banking and finance, as well as consumer services. I'm very happy to note that the MOU that have just been signed and exchanged between Mapletree Investments and the government of Maharashtra in industrial and logistics and warehousing development. These will further strengthen the network of win-win partnerships between Singapore and Maharashtra. And once again, I would like to congratulate PSA, our Indian partners, and the tireless port workers who have enabled BMCT to become the success it is today. I'm confident that Phase 2 will enable BMCT to further enhance India's maritime connectivity and contribute to the growth and prosperity of India's businesses and workers in the decades to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, His Excellency, for your insightful address and giving us opportunity to host you today. Can we have a huge round of applause for Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore? As we approach the conclusion of today's program, it's my privilege to request Sri Lakshmanan Ji, Joint Secretary Ports, Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Excellencies, distinguished dignitaries, esteemed delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to extend our heartfelt gratitude at the close of today's Leaders' Dialogue on Green and Digital Maritime Corridors. First and foremost, I would like to extend heartfelt thanks to the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, Mr. Gan Kim Yong. Thank you, sir, for being with us today. I would like to extend heartfelt thanks to Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Shri Devendra Fadnavis ji. Thank you, sir. Would like to extend a warm, heartfelt thanks to the Honorable Transport Minister of Singapore, Mr. Jeffrey Seow. Thank you, sir. This dialogue has been a testament to the strength and depth of India-Singapore partnership, a relationship built on mutual respect, shared aspirations, and a vision for a more sustainable, digitally empowered maritime future. Over the decades, India and Singapore have not only been close economic partners, but also steadfast collaborators in the maritime domain. Today's deliberations have reaffirmed our shared commitment to creating corridors that are not just channels for trade, but pathways for innovation, green growth, and resilience in the face of global challenges. I would like to extend our sincere thanks to the distinguished leaders, senior officials, and experts from both the nations who have enriched this platform with their valuable perspectives. Your presence here has underscored the importance of collaboration in shaping the next chapter of maritime connectivity between India and Singapore. A special word of appreciation to our gracious hosts, our organizing teams, and all those who worked behind the scenes to make this dialogue a success. I would also like to thank the media friends who have come in large numbers to cover the event today. As we now prepare to bid farewell to our esteemed dignitaries, let us carry forward the spirit of today's discussion into concrete action, strengthening our bilateral ties and building maritime corridors that stand as beacons of sustainability and digital innovation for the region and the world. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Can we have one group picture here in the front? I request all the dignitaries to please come forward for a group picture. I request all the delegates to please be seated and allow the dignitaries to leave the venue. And request to all the friends from media, there would be a press meet after this, so kindly be seated and you can come forward and arrange your mics for the press meet. वहीं पे रहो, go there. We'll have a press meet here in just next 5 minutes. Once Secretary Sir is back after seeing off Honorable CM and all the dignitaries.
Check.
I request all the media representatives to please come forward and take the seat for the press briefing.
Check, check. Hey, hello. Hello, check. Hey.
I request all the media friends to please kindly be seated. In a
Check.
short while,
Hello.
we'll be having the
Hello.
press
Check.
meet. Secretary, Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways, Joint Secretary, and Chairman JNPA would address the media friends. हाँ लैंप हटा दो. चेयरमैन सर आ रहे हैं? हाँ ठीक है. हाँ. So kind request to friends of media if they want to take the front seat can quickly come ahead. So we have with us Shri T.K. Ramchandran ji, Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways, Shri Lakshmanan ji, Joint Secretary Ports, Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways, and Shri Unmesh Sharadwag, Chairman JNPA. May I request Secretary Sir to brief the friends from media about the latest development of Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways and the upcoming India Maritime Week 2025.
Namaskar. So thank you very much for being with us this afternoon. I'd like to thank also JNPA for organizing this event. Firstly, just like to give you an overview of what is happening in the maritime sector. So like I said during my opening speech just a few minutes back, the Amritkal Vision 2047, which was released by the Honorable Prime Minister in October 23, in the last Global Maritime India Summit that took place in 2023 in this city. And in that, there are some 11 different verticals which have been emphasized. And some of these verticals include port modernization and mega ports, then green shipping and green ports, digitalization, and so on. And during the last Global Maritime India Summit, almost 10 lakh worth crores of MOUs were signed, a lot of investments were made, and several countries, more than 50 countries participated. So this gave a fillip to this ministry over the last couple of years to work really hard at translating the vision into reality. And I'm glad to tell you that several things have happened in the last 2 years, and some of which I will highlight, some of which you might already know. And like you know, for instance, as far as ports are concerned, we have the Vadavan port, which was, for which the foundation stone was laid by the Honorable Prime Minister last year. And काम बहुत जल्दी चल रहा है, and hopefully in another few years, I think 28 is the date being looked at. So that port will add 300 million tons of annual capacity. It will be among the 10th large ports in the world, and will double our container handling capacity from 22 million TEUs to about 45 million or so. So this is just one example. Similarly, I have the happy news that while we were in this session this afternoon, the Lok Sabha has passed the Indian Ports Bill. So that was the final of the 5 bills that we were spearheading during this session of the Parliament. So the Merchant Shipping Bill, the Indian Ports Bill, the Coastal Shipping Bill, the Carriage of Goods by Sea Bill, and of course the Bills of Lading Bill. तो 5 bills जो है इस लोक सभा और राज्य सभा में हम लोगों ने पास किया. So among the 13 bills, this was the highest, the ministry with the highest number of bills, and is a landmark event in the history of the ministry. So of course we are thankful to all those who made this possible. But this is just one example of the kind of transformation that is taking place in the shipping sector, shipping, ports and maritime sector. And the other thing is, of course, the other pillars, apart from the port sector, where I just spoke about the legal reforms, there are institutions that have been created for the benefit of the growth of the sector. And that includes, apart from new ports, it includes centers of excellence across the country in digital, in green, in international cooperation, and in inland waterways. And the latest is one on digitalization. So these are centers of excellence which have been set up. New organizations like the Indian Ports and Ropays Corporation Limited, IPRCL, has been created. The IPGL to run our ports in other countries like Myanmar or Iran has been created. And several fora like the Maritime, the States Development Council, the Inland Waterways Development Council, etc. have been created so that it fosters more of interaction between states, both maritime states as well as waterway states. Similarly, on the as far as growth is concerned, from about 2,600 million tons, from about 1,600 million tons 10 years back, now we are at about 2,700 million tons of capacity, which makes us one of the biggest, largest shipping countries in the world, cargo, in terms of cargo capacity. Cargo also has increased from about 800 million tons per annum to about 1,600 million tons. So everywhere, so port sector there is growth, coastal shipping there is growth, inland waterways, it just used to be about 18 million tons a few years in 2014. Now it is 145 million tons. So inland waterways पे भी
काफ़ी growth हुआ है. And then finally, the shipping sector में these, apart from these landmark legislations, we have had several other important announcements which took place in the last budget. जो budget January में पेश किया गया, उसमें there was the three schemes which were announced. The first was the Maritime Development Fund at 25,000 crores. The second was the Shipbuilding Financial Assistance Scheme 2.0. And the third was the maritime clusters and shipbuilding clusters in the country. Apart from declaring shipping as an infrastructure, which will lead to greater assistance to this sector. So these again are things that have been long sought by the industry, maybe decades, and finally these have happened, and again it augurs well for the sector. So in this context, it is in this context that we are holding the GMIS after 2 years, and which better place to hold it than Mumbai? All of you are Mumbaikars, so Mumbai is the center, the capital, and which other port to speak about it than JNPA, being one of the leading ports or the leader. जहाँ यहाँ लिखा है India's best performing port, ताकि हम भूल ना पाएं कि इनका port best performing port है, सच में है. तो we are sitting here on the stage in the best performing port and talking about the GMIS in a city which is the biggest, grandest city of India. And this forum, the GMIS, is going to be a forum where people from across the world, we are expecting people, around 1 lakh attendees. There will be exhibitions, there will be huge number of stalls, there will be a lot of discussions, networking, sessions, and it is going to be an India Maritime Week. It is not a Global Maritime India Summit will be just 2-3 days, but the India Maritime Week एक पूरा सप्ताह चलेगा, like Singapore Maritime Week, London में होता है, some other places होता है. So the idea was that over this week we have several events, including the Sagar Manthan, which is a policy dialogue, and then we have what are the other conferences? Green Maritime, Digital Maritime, काफी conferences. Corridors will happen around during this week. So our idea is to launch, and we are also thankful to the government of Maharashtra for having agreed to host this event here and for having agreed to be partner state, host state for this event. And they have given us a lot of help. I'd like to on this occasion thank them and for the excellent support and cooperation that they've given us. So these are broadly things that have happened in the shipping, ports and waterway sector, and about the GMIS. More details if you want we can add. I think broadly this is about it. Okay, thank you.
So we can take few questions. Can we have the mic in the audience? Can we have the mic in the front row? Can we have the mic in the front row here, please?
Has the pace of port monetization slowed down? Because not many projects are now coming on stream for tender and all that. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct, because firstly, with 80,000 crores worth of monetization happening, so that's also PPP, right? It's all whatever.
That has not yet come on stream, but
no, it's happening. So the HAM is going ahead full steam, and we have I think approved almost 10 or 12 projects in the last 6 months. So across the ports, PPP is happening. Berth mechanization and
currently, sir, just to add, I think we should be having, apart from Vadhavan, more than close to 20,000 crores worth of PPP projects which are currently in different stages of tendering. And with the new budget announcement, we are working with DA also. Like we have submitted a pipeline of PPP projects close to 1 lakh crores over the next 4 years. So there's a robust pipeline. The way it has been happening, I think it will gain more momentum.
Actually, gaining more momentum is the word I would use. Yeah.
What about that, I was asking, there is this issue about migration of existing terminal operators to the new market-based regime. Any visibility on that?
Yes, it's in final stages of deliberation, and so we are expecting to see something happen within the next 1 month.
Okay, any other questions from here? Yeah.
So hello, this is Snehal from ANI. So this bill will replace 117 years old Port Act, if I'm not wrong. Then what innovations will we get to know, and what we can witness in this bill?
So the new bill, which is currently passed by Lok Sabha, which will now go to Rajya Sabha, primarily we are looking at an integrated long-term port development. So that is the primary thrust of the new bill. It's a concurrent subject, so where central government and state government have to work together. So this bill brings in that framework where there is a possibility of a cooperative and a collaborative development. And other alignment with the international conventions, the MARPOL convention, which is on pollution, and there is a ballast water convention. So this bill brings in the legal provisions that are required for aligning our ports with these legal conventions in terms of the environment safeguards and preparations that are needed. And it also aligns with the FAL convention, which talks about maritime single window. So this new bill will put in place a framework where all the ports work in that maritime single window. Similarly, there are provisions related to Maritime State Development Council and also recognition of the existing state maritime boards legally, and also giving them a set of basic responsibilities and duties. And it also talks about transparency in tariff, so that the users are aware of what is the port tariff. It also talks about emergency preparedness in the ports, safety and security of ports. So it covers whatever are the latest best practices in the legal framework of managing ports and administering ports. So all of that has been brought in this new bill. There is no tariff authority. There is no tariff authority, but it talks about the framework for tariff and the boards which are empowered to fix tariff. And it also talks about publication of the tariff so that there is transparency.
Basically, transparency. Talks about transparency, the need to spell it out upfront. That is what. Yeah. No, basically it's a corridor. So what we have found is that in the green sector, you can't have development happening in one port or in one corner of the world without it leading to a corridor where both sides are engaged in the same activity. So you can't have a green corridor unless someone else also does a green corridor, green port. So that's why you have to have a green corridor. So they are interested because they are, of course, like us, they are also deficient in carbon fuels. So we have therefore common interests, and they are a good consumer nation, but they don't have for instance, land to do solar. We have enough land. So, and they are very interested in converting to carbon neutrality, and we can help them do that. Therefore, this corridor makes sense, at least the green one. And the digital, because we think that operations across corridors, digital corridors, if they are put in place, then it enhances efficiencies. So like we've done already one with Dubai, the western digital corridor, similarly on the east. So that is the idea.
Elaborate more on the processes.
On the which project?
On the digital processes, how will...
digital, for instance, you see, there are customs processes, there is exchange of information, exchange of data relating to the cargo, the goods, the ships, the arrival times, etc. So you have a common platform and you share information, and again that does not have to be filed at the other end. It can be taken from this common platform. So that is example. That's an example. Yeah.
Can we have last one question, sir, as a flight to catch?
Hi, sir, just want to know when the Vadhavan project port will start?
the work of Vadhavan Port already started.
And project-wise, I'm talking
The
about.
project, the timeline is 5 years. So in 2029, first quarter, the first ship will call on.
And you have all, there's sir mentioned on the glass some about JNPT. So what you will give tag when Vadhavan Port will come?
What?
The tag you said JNPT uses, just read the
Best,
thing.
the best.
Yeah.
So it will also be the best performing port. Like
No, it will beat JNPA and become the better performing port.
No, because that time will be too ahead of us. What that will call like. No?
See, I mean, that port will definitely have some advantages than JNPA. Because it is an old port now, because 89 also it is the 36 years. Now it is inside city. So there are some challenges in evacuation and other things. That will not be there because that is conceptualized as outside city. The DFC is only 12 kilometers. The expressway is only 22 kilometers. So all those advantages that particular port will have. It will be green since inception. Now we are greening JNPA. So definitely because of the time, it is a well placed than JNPA. But we will try to catch up.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I have just a couple of questions, one for Mr. Wag and one for Secretary Sir. So can you tell us more, in your address you mentioned that India is poised to become a hub for green marine fuel. So in terms of actual work that is underway in terms of investments that are required, and any timelines you can share on that. And the question for Mr. Wag on, if you can just give us some more details on the phase 2 of BMCT, since it's to be inaugurated now. Thanks.
So green, we've already shared this with the media earlier also. There are 3 hydrogen hubs which are planned in India. One is in Kandla, one is in Tuticorin, and one is in Paradeep. Now Kandla has already done the allotment of land, I think 3,400 acres of land for green hydrogen production. And a lot of companies have taken land in Kandla. And you might have seen recent reports in the press about the 1 megawatt electrolyzer being launched. The foundation stone was laid in April, and within 3 months, the honorable it was inaugurated. The plant was inaugurated. So it will produce about a few hundred kgs of hydrogen. So, but that is the starting point, and many more such electrolyzers and many more megawatts of electrolyzers are likely to be set up. Similarly, Tuticorin, they have also allotted a few hundred acres to several companies, half a dozen companies, including Semcorp, which is a Singaporean company. And being strategically located in the south, they can access the Singaporean market. And of course, Paradeep is also doing some work in this area. The idea, and then we are looking at a green corridor between Kandla and Tuticorin. So developing the corridor, which means we should have bunkering, we should have the necessary fuel availability, the infrastructure for the transport, storage, etc. And of course, production of the fuel, green fuel, or green methanol or ammonia. So all this will have to be there in the ports. There will have to be a ship which runs on that fuel, and there will have to be a regulatory framework for that. All this we are developing. There will have to be trained manpower, for which IMU is doing the the due diligence, and there will also have to be people willing to use these services. The business has to be ready. So that's why we are talking to Singapore, because they want to use ammonia as blend it with carbon fuels like LNG, and then like up to 30% you can blend it, and therefore you can reduce your carbon footprint. But they cannot produce green hydrogen, so they will use what we are producing. So these are the kind. And of course Western Europe, Rotterdam, they are also interested. So a lot of work is going on.
As far as this second phase is concerned, the first phase is 1 kilometer length of terminal. Now this 1 more kilometer is added. So initially phase 1 is a 2.4 million TEUs, and this one is also 2.4 million TEUs. So total they will have 4.8 million TEUs. So this is almost complete. So next month, Honorable PM of India and Honorable PM of Singapore both will inaugurate this.
So there are many countries who release the annual booklet about the tariff and everything. for the according to the port laws. So India is also planning to release that kind of booklet for the tariff, because tariff is the really trending topic in these days in India.
Schedule of rates. So it's already there. The tariff is already released upfront. It is fair. It is. Yeah, we already do that on our website, and now we have come up with what is called a standard template for the schedule of rates, so that all the ports follow a common template. So people don't have a problem when they move from one port to the other, trying to understand different types of templates. So we've prescribed a common template.
Yeah, just to congratulations to all of you all for the bill passing, 5 bills passed. But I wanted to know, sir, this leader dialogue on green and digital maritime, the seminar or the discussion we had, what do you think was the takeaway for the ministry from this discussion about leadership dialogue?
So one of the key things is, international partnerships, international cooperation. So this, I think, would be one of the key takeaways, as we heard from the speakers in the morning panel discussion, where we saw examples from other parts of the world, what DP World had quoted, or the Port of Rotterdam had explained. So that would be one key takeaway. And also to build the right infrastructure in terms of the participating countries. And another key thing would be the establishment of digital infrastructure where information flow can happen seamlessly. And another would be governance and the regulatory agencies collaborating and aligning. So these 4 things, I think, would be the key aspects that we would we need to work on if we have to really ground these corridors. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
जहाँ तक सवाल है JNPA और वार्ड 1 के डीप का, अपने क्षेत्र में, माने पूरे देश में
कितने? आपका प्रश्न समजला नाही, काय म्हणायचं काय? परत विचारा. बोला तुम्ही, मी सांगतो त्यांना. म्हणजे ते तुम्हाला खोली म्हणायची.
आणि किती निघाली?
कसं आहे की they want to ask, he want to ask की the deep draft port, how many you have in the India? So कसं आहे की जे बल्क पोर्ट आहेत ते आपल्याकडे 20 पेक्षा जास्त खोलीचे आहेत. पारादीप आहे, कांडलामध्ये पण मिळून जाते. विजिंगजम जो पोर्ट आहे तो ट्रान्सशिपमेंट पोर्ट आहे, त्यालाही खोली 18 पेक्षा जास्त आहे. परंतु कंटेनर पोर्ट ज्याला 18 मीटरपेक्षा जास्त खोली लागेल, कारण की त्याच्यापेक्षा जास्त खोलीची गरज लागत नाही, कारण की त्याच्यापेक्षा जास्त खोलीचे आता शिप्स बनत नाही, वाईड बनत आहेत. तशी जी खोली आहे ती आपल्या भारतात किनाऱ्याजवळ फार कमी आहे, ती वाढवणलाच आहे. आणि वाढवणच्या आसपास 5 ठिकाणी आहे, त्याच्यात बेस्ट वाढवणला आहे, त्याच्यामुळे आपण तो वाढवण निवडला आहे. तसेच आता एक प्लॅन जो गलाथिया बे आहे त्या अंदमान निकोबारमध्ये, तिथे सुद्धा आता ईस्टला वेस्टला एक झाला ट्रान्सशिपमेंट पोर्ट, म्हणजे जो विजिंजम. आता ईस्टला तसाच ट्रान्सशिपमेंट पोर्ट व्हावा म्हणून गलाथिया जो पोर्ट आहे तो बनतोय. तर त्याचा पण तो 14वा मेजर पोर्ट झाला आहे, जसा वाढवण 13वा आहे.
Thank you, everyone, for your valuable time and presence and making this event successful. Thank you once again.